Bob's Breakfast.
This situation in Syria is very, very complex. There are so many factions. There's the Assad thing. 2 years ago, there was a vote to bomb Assad. Now we're voting to bomb his enemy.
Yes, it's such a volatile region. It really, really is.
And politicians are not experts.
No.
On anything. The guy in charge of business knows nothing about business. The guy in charge of defence knows nothing about defence. They shuffle them around. The guy that was health is now business or education. They don't come from walks of life that have taught. They have no wisdom in these areas.
If you think Jeremy Hunt, for example, he was education, now he's health.
Yes. So he's an amateur. He's not a professional at health. He's an amateur.
He's never been a teacher,
No.
as far as I recall, never been a doctor.
No, they're all just amateurs. So now we're going to get all these amateurs to debate, because Corbyn has asked for, 2 days of debate or something?
He has, yeah.
How is that going to make any difference? How is having a load of people who don't know anything talk about it a lot more going to lead them to a better decision? What we need a panel of experts, military leaders, people from the different faith organisations that are involved in this, people who've been and worked in the region, people who know the consequences of not doing anything, the consequences of doing... We need experts to be debating it and come to a decision, then recommend it to the government. That's not happening. Why is that not happening? Having a load of people who know nothing about the problem discuss the problem is like... it's like priests giving marriage guidance. Oh, mind you, that happens. Latest news now with Chris Hubbard.
So yesterday we were warned about the risk of rats.
Oh, there was killer rats,
homes.
plague of giant killer rats,
We have all sorts of stories about fears of animals. Well, now we've moved on to scare stories of inanimate objects.
Oh, really?
Hoverboards, or so-called hoverboards.
Deadly hoverboards. Yeah.
Deadly hoverboards.
They're not actually hoverboards. They're on wheels, to be fair. If something's on wheels, it's not hovering. I'm no scientist, but I understand some of the basic rules of physics. If something's got wheels, it's not hovering.
It's a motorised skateboard.
Yes, of course, that's what it is, yeah.
But now thousands of them have been seized by authorities over fears that they could explode. People wanting to get cheaper versions of these, knockoff versions of them. Trading standards officers have confiscated 15,000 of these hoverboards, which have been examined.
Now, are they dangerous or not? Clearly, they're knockoff. Okay, they're knockoff. And I maintain, if you know you're buying knocked off stuff, you're not being ripped off. As long as you know that it's not the genuine article.
You know what to expect.
Yes, I once bought a camera. I had a little Pentax digital camera. And to get the actual camera case from Pentax was something ridiculous, like 30 quid. But on eBay, I found one for £5. Still said Pentax on it, but I clearly knew it. There's no way it can be. Yeah. And my point there is, if I'd bought the Pentax one, I would have been being ripped off. So I bought the knockoff so I didn't get ripped off. Right. So, but it's amazing how this stuff that they seize is always deadly.
Yes.
I can remember this. My old man worked at, there's an oil refinery up north, a big one called Stanlow.
I love your dad.
Right.
He's got so many stories.
Right. He used to. He was a piping supervisor on this construction job, Stanlow, in the northwest of England. This refinery, and he'd come home with all sorts of things. Like, I mean, you're going to find this hard to believe. You're going to make it sound like I'm making up, like it's some comedy bit, but it's true. I used to go to school in steel toe cap safety boots because my dad worked there.
Brilliant.
It was like I needed a new pair of shoes. And my mother was whining about how expensive they were and how the last pair didn't last long enough because I'd played football in them or something, And he went, "What size are you?" And he went down the stores and he came home with a piece. "I've got your pair of boots there. You go to school in now." He used to go to school in steel toe cap safety boots that he'd robbed from work. Anyway, like one birthday one year was a watch.
Yeah.
Well, where'd he get a diver's watch? Where'd you get a diver's watch from on a construction site? I wonder. So there was all this stuff for some reason for sale on the site. And one time he came on with like a case of tins of salmon. But there's no label on them, right? It's just like it's a tin of salmon, but no label on it. And we'd eaten about 5 tins out of about a case of about 20. I can't remember what it was. The cupboard was just full of these tins of salmon with no label on them. We're having salmon sandwiches morning, noon, and night. But anyway, it comes on the news how this ship going into Liverpool or something had been, or container had been. Anyway, there was like load of stolen tins of salmon locally, not that far away from Stanlow.
Right.
Right. And they announced that they're pretty sure it contains botulism.
Oh, great.
We'd eaten tins of it. There's nothing wrong with it. So I'm just saying, I'm just being a bit wary. It's amazing how this stuff that gets seized is always dangerous. Maybe, just maybe, maybe I'm living proof that it's not.
Bob's Breakfast.
It was Cyber Monday yesterday, and we were warned to be on the lookout for cyber scams. Have you ever been scammed either in cyberspace or in real life? When have you been sucked in, hooked in, conned? The number to call is 01438 422 106 if you have been conned. If you've never been scammed in your life, then I want to hear from you too, and I want to hear from you on the email. I'm graham@bobfm.co.uk, and I also want you to include your credit card number and the 3-digit security code on the back of the card, please. Has there ever been a time, Chris, where more hypocrites have been put together in the same room as this UN climate change conference in Paris?
Well, there's 150 world leaders there at the moment.
150 world leaders. Now, they were addressed by Prince Charles yesterday.
That's right,
Now,
yeah.
you know something about Prince Charles and his movements.
Well, he visited Stevenage. Must have been a couple of years ago now. And we were all waiting outside, the obedient press, just waiting for him to be brought round the corner in his 4x4. Anyway, instead of coming...
So, first of all,
Yeah,
a 4x4, it's a Range Rover, one of the
Yes,
least
Range
energy-efficient vehicles you could drive.
There wasn't just
for
that.
start.
There
I know.
were some Royal Protection officers in another Range Rover as well.
Oh, another Range Rover, yeah.
So maybe he was being driven all the way from London
Yes.
In the Range Rover. Yeah. No, he arrived in a helicopter in a field next to where we were meeting.
Yeah.
Got out of the helicopter and then got into one of the Range Rovers that had been driven over to him all the way from London.
So he could have got a lift from London in the Range Rover.
So he could have done.
I mean, he could have got the train, to be fair.
Yeah.
And a local mayor's car could have picked him up, or a rental car, a limousine company, or even a taxi. All right, maybe not a taxi, but there would be cars in Stevenage that could have quite easily picked him up from the railway station. But no, he arrives in a helicopter gets in one of the Range Rovers that have been driven up from London without him in it.
Yes.
Right? So this man, Prince Charles, he gave an address yesterday at the Climate Change Summit on how we all need to be doing more to...
He was the star turn, wasn't he?
He was the star turn, but he's addressing a room filled with politicians from 147 countries who are also chauffeured around daily in huge cars, helicopters, private jets. Honestly, if any of them were serious about doing something, there wouldn't even be a conference in Paris. They'd be doing it on Skype.
Bob's Breakfast.
I got locked out of a car I was driving once, Chris.
Did you?
Yeah, we're talking about locked out this morning. Yeah, we had this... Julie had this car we leased. It was a Lexus. And it was one of these with the keyless entry system. Have you ever driven a car like that?
No.
You don't
I
have a key, you have like a fob. And the fob, as long as you're near the car and you open, the door just opens. You don't have to blip the fob or anything. You just have to have the fob on you. And when you get in the car, you just push the start button. You don't have to put the fob into the car.
Oh, actually, we did drive one on holiday once.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you know
It was a
the
very
kind of
nice
thing I'm
car.
dealing
Yeah,
with.
absolutely.
We lived in Swindon and we drove up to Liverpool to go to a football match to Anfield. So it's quite a trek. Traffic on the M6 was a nightmare. We're really, really running late. Now, I haven't got the tickets. My mate John's got the tickets and he's outside the ground because he sells fanzines. He's the editor of the Red All Over the Land fanzine and he's selling the fanzines. He's outside the ground. So we're running so late. I'm thinking if we get there too late, we're putting him in a position, does he wait outside the ground and not go into the match and miss the kickoff and everything, waiting to give us our tickets? Or does he go in which case we can't get in and we've driven all this way?
Yeah.
So we get to I think it's like 2:45 by now. It's 3:00 kickoff. It's about, I said to Julia, we get to the ground. I said, look, get out, go and see John, get the tickets. I'll meet you at Flagpole Corner. I'll go and park the car. We're going to be late. You know, whatever happens. Now, I'd forgot because it was her car. Whenever I got in to drive it, I was always with her. So I never actually had the key on me. So she gets out and goes to get the tickets. I'm driving along Walton Breck Road. This is match day. There's 43,000 people about to go in to see this football match. The road's mobbed. The police are everywhere. There's horseback police, whatever. This car goes beep, 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 beep. No key detected. Oh, no. She's walked off with the key. Well, of course. Yeah. So then the car stops. And the copper comes over to me and says, hey, you can't park here. Come on. And I'm like, I haven't got the key. And he's like, what? And I haven't got the key to the car. I can't drive it. He's like, how did you get in here? I'm like, well, you see, it's a keyless thing. Oh, my goodness sake. Good morning, Gary.
Being locked out.
Yes.
Quite a few years ago, I used to be a glazer, and I had a Renault Traffic van, a big glazing van.
Yeah.
And one day I put the keys in the ignition and stupidly put the lockdown, went to get a cup of tea out of the house, come back, of course I've locked myself out of the van.
Right.
I can't get into the van. So I thought, after a while, I'm going to have to put a little quarter light window through on the van.
Smash the window.
Yeah, so brick in hand.
Yeah.
A fella standing there, we're walking by, said, what are you doing? I said, well, it's my van. I said, I've left the keys in there. He said, no, don't do that, mate. He said, go up to number 58. So I said, 58, what, is he a locksmith? He goes, no, he's actually a car thief. He'll help you out. I walked up to number 58, knocked on the door, 7 o'clock in the morning, bloke opened the door in his underpants. I went to him, excuse me, sir, I said, this is a bit strange, but I'm locked out my van. And he looked at me and went, you own the Renault Traffic down the road, don't you? I went, yeah. He goes, hang on, walked in, come back, bunch of keys, sorted through the keys, and he looked at me in the eye and went, that one there should work. I walked down straight into the van.
You are joking. So
a car thief got me into my own van.
But everybody knew he was a car thief, and he was quite open with you that he had keys to all sorts of cars that were not his.
He had a bunch of about 200 keys, and he sorted through all the keys and pulled out one key out of all them keys and gave me that key, and it opened my van.
Now, you sure he wasn't something legit, like he worked for the police or he was a locksmith or something?
Oh, no, he was a bit of a scallywag. This fella never worked for the... No, he didn't work for the police.
Bob's Breakfast.
Let's get the latest news now with Chris Hubbard.
Police in Oklahoma have been making headlines around the world with one single picture. A police car with a policeman in the front, nothing unusual about that. But a donkey sat in the back with its head out the window.
Donkey in the back of the police car?
Donkey in the back of the police car. They've given a donkey a lift after rescuing the animal.
The donkey's, poor thing, he's gone, I done nothing wrong. Please let me go. It wasn't me, it was another guy. He looked a lot like me. We all look the same. What's happened to you, Darren?
A few years ago, I did get locked out of someone's house, and I've got a few ladders there. So I run a ladder all the way from one end of the town to the other on my shoulder, put it up against the window, got through the window, got downstairs, and then realised the back door was actually unlocked. So I've done all that for nothing.
We're well and truly into Brussels sprout season now, and anybody who's not keen of this vegetable will know exactly how this child feels. Now, a year 3 pupil at a primary school in Cambridgeshire is thought to have been smuggling sprouts into school and hiding them in other pupils' bags. Now, it's thought this could be because they've been hiding them off their plate at home and then looking for somewhere to dispose of them.
Oh, these are cooked sprouts.
These are cooked sprouts, yeah. A letter to parents from the head teacher says, a child who we believe may be in year 3 has been bringing in cooked sprouts from home. These have been discovered in children's bags, we think in an effort to dispose of them. Since we have children in the school with severe food allergies, this is obviously a situation where we require your assistance in monitoring. Now, one dad has spoken to the papers saying he thought the child should be rewarded for such a plan of getting rid of food in this way.
Yeah, but it wasn't the perfect crime.
No,
yeah.
no.
It's got to be the perfect crime, because my sister used to do this. My sister, not take them into school. She's 4 years younger than me.
Mm.
And she didn't like vegetables. She would hide them. She'd take them off her plate and she'd hide them. Talking of not the perfect crime.
Yes.
My mother comes up to the plate and she goes, oh, you've eaten, Lindsay, you've eaten all your vegetables. Well done. And she goes, don't look under the carpet.
Bob's Breakfast.
When you've been locked out, Mike.
Well, mine was a little bit weird because it was on my honeymoon.
You got locked out on your honeymoon?
Yep.
What happened?
We went to Jersey and we're staying in a guest house. And the trip over from the UK was in a force 10 gale, so my wife was really ill by the time we got there.
This was a boat you went across on?
Yeah, we went across on a boat. And when we got there, she was having to take stuff to calm herself down and that. So we went to bed. What I didn't realise was if I come out of the bedroom to go down to the loo at about 3 o'clock in the morning, I needed a key because the way the latch was, I needed a sort of key to get back in.
Yeah.
Anyway, I came down to the loo, went back up. My wife was so sparko she couldn't hear me. Everybody else in the house was asleep. So my lockout was I actually had to sleep on the settee in the lounge until somebody woke up at about 6 o'clock in the morning and let me back in.
And that was your wedding night?
That was my honeymoon night. Yeah.
Bob's Breakfast.
Chris Hubbard brought us a great story a few minutes ago about a donkey that was picked up by the police and was in the back of the police car. And it's tickled you, Bonzi.
I just got this image of it going down the road with his head out the window. E-or. It's just...
This is Bob.
I need to get your opinion on this because I don't know if this is a mistake or a deliberate attempt at humour.
Okay.
Last night, I'm flicking through the Evening Standard newspaper online.
Mm-hmm.
There's a story in there, an important story, but I want to know, the headline just made me laugh uncontrollably.
Okay.
And I wondered whether... Well, I laughed because I thought they'd put the headline up and not realised how funny it is. I don't know whether they were deliberately trying to be funny, but I'm pretty sure somebody wrote the headline quickly without realising what they'd said.
Sometimes happens.
The story is about a private ambulance. An ambulance that travels around London doing private circumcisions.
Yes.
Okay, so providing an important service.
Yeah.
The ambulance was stolen.
Okay.
And police have now recovered the ambulance. Based on information from a member of the public.
Right.
That's the story.
Okay.
The headline... Stolen circumcision ambulance found after tip-off.
Bob's Breakfast.
Got some amazing audio to play a little bit later on. It's a 4-year-old girl who calls 999 because her mummy's collapsed. And it's the 999 call and how the 999 operator dealt with it. And it's heartbreaking. The little girl's going, oh, my mummy's collapsed. It's amazing. But she saved her mum's life by doing that. So this morning, I'd like to know, when have you had to call 999? What's the story? Darren.
Years and years ago, I was probably about 13 years old. I was at home with my dad, and it was quite a warm evening. And we had a phone box on the corner, which you could see from our house.
Yeah.
And we heard a smash of glass. And I was just in a pair of shorts because it was quite warm. And Dad went rushing up to the window and he looked at it, he goes, oh my God, he said, there's someone slumped on the floor.
Right.
So, me being me, I just ran outside and went over there, and the guy had actually smashed the glass and slipped both of his wrists.
Wow.
Yeah. And by the time I got out there, he'd actually stumbled across the road and he was slumped up against the wall. So I got there and I got hold of both of his hands and held his hands up, and my dad come out and he just said, I said, Dad, call the police, call the ambulance, whatever. When they got there, bearing in mind I've been sat there for about 25 minutes holding this bloke's arms up, my arms were killing me as it was.
Yeah.
And the ambulance lady got there and she got hold of this torch and she goes, right, you can move away from him now. And every time I moved my hand down or his arms down, the blood just spurted. It was just pumping.
Right.
And she shot a torch in my eyes and she goes, no, it's okay, you can let go of him now. I went, I can't let go of him because every time I do, his blood spurts out. She goes, no, that's all right, move away from him. And in the end, I had an argument at 14 years old with this ambulance lady that I'm not letting go of him until someone comes and holds his arms. If he can hold his arms up, he was too far up. But yeah, all I remember was the smell, the blood, the smell, Jill's blood. It was, I'll always remember that. That's shocking. That's over 30 years ago.
Now, did he survive?
He did, yes.
You saved his life. You saved his life, Darren.
Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose.
You did, mate. You're a hero. Hey, take it.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on.
The scary thing is the wild applause.
Yes.
That's the scary thing there.
Anybody in their right mind would have carted him off the stage at that point, wouldn't they?
This man could be the leader of the free world. This man could have his finger on the nuclear button of the biggest nuclear arsenal on the planet.
This is worrying. Really is.
But for a country like America that was built on tolerance and immigration, and the way that they're painting this, there was that fella that shot up the Planned Parenthood clinic a couple of weeks ago. It's getting no press. But the San Bernardino attack, lots of press, because he happened to be a Muslim. An American citizen, by the way, but he happened to be a Muslim. So he's being described as radicalized extremist terrorist. But clearly the other guy was a radicalized extremist terrorist Christian. And these shootings happen every day in America. And they're not always Muslims, but the Muslim ones get all the press. And for Trump to be saying this, and let's face it, the people who he's on about, the people in the parts of the world where they have the Muslim faith, they didn't decide to be Muslim. They were born into Muslim communities. That's how people, by and large, take a religion. It's the society they grow up in. So it's just as bad as if he'd have said no black people into America or no ginger-haired people into America. It is something that was beyond your control. It's just an accident of birth to have a prejudice against people over something they can't control. It's the worst kind of prejudice there is. And he was born into a white, privileged Christian environment, and so he's now a white, privileged Christian, and he could become the most important, most powerful white, privileged Christian. It is just, and he's still, this is the scary thing, he's not just some nut, he's the front runner for the Republican nomination for President of the United States. Now, I can't stand Hillary Clinton. I don't like her, I don't trust her, and I don't think we should have dynasties where the Clintons and the Bushes in charge. However, if I got to vote, and I don't, if the choice was between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, it would be Hillary in a heartbeat.
This is Bob.
When you've called 999, what's happened to you, Darren?
Yeah, I had to ring the fire brigade and the police one sunny Saturday afternoon when I lived at the house with my little girl and my wife.
What happened?
Well, some buffoon, like, one of the neighbours in the next street, he had a crowd of people, obviously, out in his back garden, like, all drinking and doing whatever, like, yeah, and then the whole neighbourhood just got blacked out with all this black smoke, and it really, really stank. So, obviously, he was, like, burning rubber or something like that in his back garden.
Yeah.
Like, and, I was sitting out in the garden, like, with my wife and the dog and the little, like, you know what I mean? I thought, like, well, what's going on here? Like, you know what I mean? It's the middle of the day. You can't have a fire. And what's he burning? So anyway, I went and knocked on the door, like, yeah. Obviously, I got no answer because they're in the back garden, like, all drinking and playing loud music and obviously having a bonfire.
Right.
So they wouldn't answer the door or anything. They couldn't hear me over the music. So I went home, like, and rang the fire brigade.
Yeah.
And the fire brigade turned up, like, pretty sharpish, like, yeah, but I couldn't believe that they also left pretty sharpish and told the people in the garden to put it out themselves.
Oh, really? Do it yourself?
Yeah, do it yourself. And then they left.
Right.
And these people didn't do it themselves, like, yeah.
Right.
And so then I thought, right, now it's my rules.
Right, okay.
So I went home, got a club hammer, went back, smashed a great big hole in the garden fence, right, and then told them myself to put it out, and the police were there in 10 minutes.
Well, I'm sure they were, because you can't take the law into your own hands, Darren.
Well, I tried ringing the fire brigade, and they...
Well, yeah, I know, but I can see. So when the Rozzers arrived, were you cautioned or anything then?
Well, I got nicked for criminal damage,
Right, yeah.
offensive weapon,
Yes.
and breach of the peace.
Yeah, well, that's a lesson for all of us there. Darren, thank you so much. There's a call from Darren with advice of what not to do.
Bob's Breakfast.
The age-old tension between parents and their son's wife has been ranked as one of the major causes of family fallouts, and the fact that maybe a son doesn't speak to his parents anymore. This is according to new Cambridge University research. They've found long-term rifts in families are more likely to lose contact with male children than female children after they get married, but that clash is likely to centre around the wife.
So the old mother-in-law joke thing, it's actually not the bloke and the wife's mother, it's the husband's mother.
That's right.
And the wife that have the issue.
Absolutely. I guess these sorts of surveys come out at Christmas, don't they? When it's a sort of typical family time and they're trying to get people together.
Yes.
It's kind of very, very seasonal.
It's a pressure cooker that they put families under Christmas, basically. Yeah. That's what it is.
Well, one of my cousins is actually in the police force elsewhere in the country, and she said the amount of family incidents they have on Boxing Day that they're called out to.
They don't call it Boxing Day
incredible.
for nothing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, they say this really.
So they get through Christmas Day.
Yeah, Christmas Day is kind of full of fun and festivities and artificial kind of jollity if your family's that way inclined, because you've got the distraction of presents, you've got the distraction of Christmas dinner, and then.
Well, it's a good job we have sport on Boxing Day. You can go out and watch. Get out of the house and go and watch a game.
Absolutely.
That's the greatest thing about Boxing Day, except that the public transport is useless. To get to the game's pretty tricky.
You'll probably
makes
argue
no
over
sense.
that.
Makes no sense. But yeah, well, I don't know. Recently, my mother said to me, I was alone. Julie wasn't with me. She said, Julie's a lovely girl. And that's actually, after all these years of marriage, kind of the first step, I think. Seriously. Julie can't work my family out. They're very northern and very straight talking.
I've got this brilliant image of your family.
Oh, do you remember the show Bread? Remember that show?
Vaguely.
That's my family. They are a sitcom. They're all crazy, and it's a sitcom. And there's no way anyone could write this because it all happens so fast. It's like we once went up there and it was winter, and we went to a football match, and we came home from the match, and we've been out in the freezing cold for hours on end. We looked rough. We came in, we took our woolly hats off. So, your hair's a mess and everything. And my mother at that time was into digital photography, and she goes, "Here, I'll get the camera, I'll take your picture." So she takes this picture and she shows it to us, and Julie looks at it and goes, "We look terrible." And my mother, quick as a flash, goes, "The camera doesn't lie." And Julie doesn't know how to take this.
Yeah.
But they do. I've got to admit, though, I don't understand them either. I find them hilarious. For me, the entertainment value I get from my extended family, and when I'm on the phone to my mother, I should tape them and play them on the air, because, she's talking about, your Uncle Norman and your auntie and your cousin, he's just got married for the third time, and I don't think she knows he's got so many kids. And I don't even know whether if it's true, it's funny. If it's not true, that she would think that someone would get married and not tell the new wife how many kids he's got from previous marriages. Just that on its own. My mother left her and we panic, because they're old. So every time the phone rings and it's them, we panic. But because she doesn't call us, like, ever, I think the last phone call we got from my mother would have been, it was years ago. It could be 3 years. I ring her every week. Yeah. But the last phone call I got from her was years ago. Now, I rang her on Sunday, and I'm talking to her, and she says, "I've just got out of hospital." I'm like, "What? How come I didn't know?" "Well, your sister came round on Friday, and you know how your dad put the boiler for the central heating in the roof 10 years ago? And I'm like, "Yeah, why did he do that? You put the boiler on the wall in the kitchen or under the stairs. You don't put it in the loft. It's in the loft.
One of the most difficult places to get to.
Yeah, and the thing needs resetting because for some reason he goes round with a radiator key and tries to bleed the radiators and the pressure drops and thing cuts out. Anyway, so someone has to shin up a ladder and reset it in the loft. Well, he can't get up the ladder anymore. He's too old. She can't get up the ladder. She's too old. My sister had come round and my mother had gone, "Love, can you reset the boiler? It's cold." So they'd got the loft ladder out. My mother's holding the bottom of the ladder. My sister's going up the ladder, and my sister's not exactly built for speed. She's a large girl. She goes up the ladder, she slips off the ladder, lands on my mother. My mother bangs her head on the side of the wall, and next minute my mother's in hospital.
Oh, good
But she
grief.
doesn't call me because she's in hospital. So, but she spent the night.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm talking to her on Sunday. So then last night we're in bed. And we're watching, there's this Scandinavian TV series we watch on the iPlayer, The Bridge, right? We're watching that. The home phone goes. Like, no one rings us on the home phone. It's all mobiles, right? No one rings us on the home phone. And before we could get to it, it clicks to the answer phone thing. It's got an answer phone built in so you can hear them talking. And it's my mother. She says, nothing urgent, just thought I'd tell you, the boiler's fixed. So she spends a night in hospital. I know nothing about it, but after about 3 years of no communication this way from her to me, she rings me to tell me it's panic over, the boiler's fixed.
Bob's Breakfast.
Do your kids know what to do if there's an emergency? Well, here's a 4-year-old who knew exactly what to do and saved her mother's life when she called 999. This is the call.
Hello?
My mummy's fallen over.
She's fallen over?
Yeah.
Are you with mummy at the moment?
No, my mummy can't get up in the 5 minutes.
She's gonna go up when, sorry?
My mummy can't get up in 5 minutes.
She's gonna get up in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Where's mummy now then?
She's stood on the floor.
She's still on the floor?
Yeah.
Alright, okay. And where is that? What city are you in?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
Okay, do you live in Nottingham?
I don't know. I'm gonna have my mummy.
I know, we're gonna help mummy. Do
I'm
you know where you live?
Pardon?
What's your name?
Maya.
Maya. Have you got a next door neighbour there, Maya? Do you live in Lincoln, do you know?
Yeah.
You live in Lincoln?
I live in Lincoln.
You live in Lincoln, okay. And how old are you, Maya?
4.
You're 4, okay. Where's mummy now?
She just falls on the floor.
She's fallen on the floor?
Yeah.
Okay. You stay on the line with me, okay, Maya, and we're going to get mummy some help.
Okay. But I want my mummy.
Okay, so where's mummy now?
She's fallen on the floor.
She's fallen on the floor, okay, Maya. Are you with mummy now, or can you see mummy?
No.
Can't see mummy. Is there any other adults there with you?
No.
Who's looking after you?
My mummy, but she rolled down.
Okay, alright, Maya. Do you know how old mummy is?
I don't know.
You don't know, that's okay, don't you worry. You just stay on the line with me, okay? Can you see mummy? Maya?
No.
You can't see her. Why can't you see mummy?
Because she fallen on the floor.
Alright, okay, Maya. Alright. Is mummy awake?
Yeah.
She is awake, is she?
Yeah.
Is she talking to you?
No, I need the toilet, no.
You need the toilet, do you?
Yeah.
Alright, are you at home at the moment?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay. You just stay on the line with me, okay? We're going to get someone to help you. When did mummy fall over?
She fell down. I can't go to the toilet because she fell down next to the toilet.
She's fell on the toilet, did she?
No, she fell next to the toilet.
She fell next to the toilet. Okay.
She fell next to the door.
All right, Maya, we're going to help you. Can you unlock your door? You know your front door? Is it open?
Yeah.
Can you unlock it, or is it already open?
It's already open.
All right, okay, that's lovely. You just stay on the line with me, okay? What, do you know what Mummy's name is?
Michelle.
Michelle. Do you know what Mummy's last name is? What's your last name? Your Maya...
Maya Louise Turner.
Maya Louise
And my
Turner.
mummy's last name is Louise.
Mummy's last name is Louise, is it?
Yeah.
Is Daddy's last name Turner?
Turner.
Yeah, okay. Where's Daddy?
John.
Oh, your Daddy's name's John, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, where's Daddy at the moment?
He's our...
Heartbreaking that little Mayo was going through that, but she saved her mum's life by making that 999 call. And her mum, Michelle, only a few days earlier, had drawn a picture of an ambulance and written 999 on the picture and left it by the phone.
Bob's Breakfast.
A report by Swedish telecoms experts Ericsson suggests smartphones could be about to die out in the next 5 years. The report, which questioned 100,000 people in Sweden and 39 other countries, found that many people believe smartphones are over. Instead, we'll speak to artificially intelligent helpers without needing a screen, according to people polled by the Giant.
Like Siri.
Yes, like Siri.
Siri doesn't work. All right, let me just ask. Let me just ask Siri right now. Let me just see. Hey, Siri, when will smartphones die?
I believe Amy Smart is still alive.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
Not even close. So they reckon this is the future.
This is the future.
Something that doesn't work.
That's the future. There seems to want to be this interaction between humans and technology. The tech geeks are obsessed with this. And also, one of the interesting things, you'll love this as well, one of the other points that came out of this, many tech gurus, they're saying predict that wearable gadgets...
Here it is, wearable tech.
Such as the Apple Watch...
Wearable tech.
...will slowly start to replace smartphones.
Honestly, the techie people have got this so wrong. They're like the Met Office for forecasting the future. They couldn't be more wrong. The Met Office, of course, the people who brought us the 38 days of Arctic winter that we were going to have in the run-up to Christmas. Instead, we got one cold morning and floods up north. The floods they failed to predict. Even though we get floods at this time of year every year, they failed to predict that one and predicted instead 38 days of Arctic winter. The same people that brought us, what was it, the hottest, driest June on record, and we got the wettest, coldest June on record. They couldn't be more wrong. Now, the techs are the Met Office. They have been banging on about this wearable tech. We hear nothing else but wearable tech, wearable tech, wearable tech. Nobody wants wearable tech. Nobody wants a jacket that can give you directions. Nobody wants that. And the proof of it is the most heavily marketed piece of wearable tech ever has been the Apple Watch.
Oh, really marketed?
Oh,
they must have put
and you go into
it.
any Apple store. If you want to be alone with your thoughts, stand by the table where the display of Apple Watches are. And a packed Apple store will have people around the iPhone and the iMac and the iPad. The Apple Watch table, there will be nobody on it. If you want some quiet time, alone, go and stand in any busy Apple store by the Apple Watch table. Wearable tech, we simply don't want it. And now the geeks have managed to combine two things, the wearable tech myth with the electronic virtual assistant myth. The Apple Watch, nobody wants it. The virtual assistant, Siri, doesn't work. We're going to end up with a wearable thing that's more than useless that nobody wants. Bob FM with Merry Christmas, everybody, from Slade. One of the greatest Christmas songs, really. In fact, one of my favourites, probably in the top 5. One of your favourite, Chris? One of the best Christmas songs ever?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I've met Noddy, you know, Noddy Holder.
Have you?
I had dinner with him.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't just me and him. It was a table of 10 people, but I was sat next to Noddy It was a radio station awards thing I was at once, and I was sandwiched between Noddy Holder and Terry Christian. And they were either side of me. Terry Christian had a lot to drink that night.
I can imagine.
Terry Christian probably made a bit of a name for himself because Noddy went off to go to the toilet. And Terry's leaning into me going, he's loaded, you know, he's loaded, Noddy, he's loaded. That Christmas song, every year he makes money, he's loaded. Oh, yeah. And Terry's drinking more and more and more. And Noddy comes back from the toilet and he sits back down next to me. And maybe it was something he was wearing, I don't know, but Terry Christian leans into me and there's no way that Noddy couldn't have heard him. And he goes, and he's spitting in my face, Terry Christian, and he's going like, tell you what, though, he's not seduced by the trappings of wealth. But Noddy, actually, I did get some time to talk to him, and he said something interesting, which I think is apt today. Today is the 35th anniversary of when we found out that John Lennon had been shot.
That's right.
And I said to Noddy, who's your big influence? He says, John Lennon. And I said, oh, wow. I said, do you ever meet him? And he said, I got the chance once, late 60s. I got the chance to meet him and I turned it down. And I went, why would you do that? And he said he'd found out that Lennon was hooked on heroin at the time. And he said, I didn't want to meet him in that state. He said, it'd ruin it for me. It would ruin what he is. He said, I'll wait. And he never got another chance. So, yeah, Noddy Holder, he's a good bloke. Terry Christian, not so sure. Maybe he's all right when he's sober. I don't know. He wasn't that night. A petition to ban Donald Trump from Britain.
Yeah, 370,000 people have signed this online petition. They needed 200,000 for the government to consider debating it in Parliament. George Osborne says no, that's not happening.
Say the government did say, yes, we're going to ban Donald Trump, which... We're talking about freedom here. We're talking about freedom of what people want to believe in their faith, which is what Donald Trump is against, isn't he? He's prejudiced against Muslims, even though most of the shootings that happen in America are done by Christians. By far, the percentage is just much, much higher. It's white Christians that go on these shooting sprees. Is it a reaction to what happened in San Bernardino, which happened to be a Muslim? So he's talking about banning Muslims until they figure something out, until the people in charge figure something out. So to say that we would restrict Donald Trump's freedom because of what he said was wrong. But does stopping one freedom cause another freedom? I don't think. I think it just reduces even more freedom, doesn't it?
It would place him, if he were banned from coming into the UK, it would place him on the same lines as the Ku Klux Klan.
Yes. There's also a broadcaster as well, Michael Savage, who does a radio show called Savage Nation in America, even though his name's not really Savage.
Okay.
It's something like Weinberg or Wiener or something. It's not even Savage. He changed it to that, probably because the show could then be called Savage Nation. But my point is, do these people who signed the petition, do they want Donald Trump to stop saying these outrageous things? Because let's face it, no matter which way you cut it, I mean, Donald Trump has described Mexicans as being rapists.
Yes, yeah.
He's now inferring that all Muslims are not to be trusted. Now, those things are clearly prejudice. I don't think there's any other way of cutting it, but Donald Trump is a racist. Because he says racist things. That's how you know someone is a racist. If you stopped him saying racist things by, like, banning him from traveling and stuff, do you think that would stop him being a racist? I would rather know that he's a racist. I would rather you let Donald Trump say whatever he likes. I think that's better than him not saying it and you not knowing.
The pizza-loving dog who lost a third of her body weight has been crowned Scotland's Pet Slimmer of the Year. Kayla, a bull mastiff who also used to tuck into roast dinners and bowls of cornflakes, weighed more than 9 stone and had health problems too.
Oh, pets and food, honestly. I tweeted a picture yesterday. I don't know if you've seen it. What happens is Julie goes to work and at lunchtime she comes home and she'll often at lunchtime feed the cats. And if she's fed the cats, she leaves a note so that I don't come in and feed them again. but both of them try it on. She'd been home for lunch yesterday. I got home, I think, about 2:00. And I walked in, and both of them met me at the door. And Memphis, who is the biggest guts of them all.
I've just seen your picture.
Yeah. He escorted me to his bowl.
Yeah.
And sat by his empty bowl. And there was a note by the bowl that Julie had left. And it's, well, you can probably see the photo. This is on if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see this. The photo there is of Memphis by the empty bowl, and the note which reads,
"Don't let them fool you. The cats have been fed."
Yes.
Bob's Breakfast.
He still can't avoid Donald Trump's face. This is just going on now.
Yeah.
And now this petition to ban Donald Trump from the UK has become the most popular ever on the government's website, with almost 500,000 people signing up online. But seemingly, the governments are just putting their fingers in their ears and going, well,
banning him isn't going to stop him. And like I
It's not.
said yesterday, do you want him to shut up? The guy's a racist. Do you want to have racists that you don't know they're racists because they don't say racist things anymore? I would rather racists say the most racist things they want to so that we know they're racists. I don't want to shut anyone. I want to know who I'm dealing with, what kind of person I'm dealing with. Now, Donald Trump is the nut job idiot that just keeps on giving. Yesterday, his Twitter feed, because Katie Hopkins,
yes,
who is also a nut job idiot. Katie Hopkins, who writes for the Daily Mail, writes she kind of agreed with him over London having no-go areas for Muslims. So Donald Trump tweeted along the lines of, I'm paraphrasing, but thanks for the recognition, the respected journalist, Katie Hopkins. As if, someone else tweeted, and I've retweeted it. Katie Hopkins is to journalism what Katie Hopkins is to journalism, which is all you really need to know. I've been trying to work out, because the thing you can't work out with Donald Trump is, how does such a nut job get to be the front runner as the Republican candidate for president of the United States? How does that happen? How does that? And here's what I reckon has happened. Have you ever listened to American talk radio?
On occasion.
Right.
Yeah.
It's on AM, which must stand for Angry Men. Because that's all that's on there. Angry, right-wing, old, white men. It's horrible. And for the last 7 years, American talk radio, or the stuff I've listened to bits of it online, and Rush Limbaugh, Michael Savage, these kind of people. There are more progressive presenters as well, but they're in a minority. I've listened to it online, and when I go to the States, I listen to it. And I've even been to talk radio conventions, and I've met some of these hosts of these shows. And for the last 7 years, they have been telling redneck Americans that all of the problems in their life are because of Barack Obama. Everything is about Barack Obama. There's a station in New York called The Answer. I mean, how up your own bum would you have to be to say that this radio station is the answer? It's the answer to all of your problems. People have problems in their life.
Yeah.
And you have to be really simplistic to find that there's one thing that's causing all these problems. The reason why you can't pay your rent is because of Barack Obama.
Yeah.
The reason why every problem in your life is caused by Barack Obama. So you've had these rednecks for 7 years have been told this hourly by these angry white men on AM radio in America. Barack Obama, he's why everything in your life is a problem because of Barack Obama. So along comes Donald Trump with the solution, with the answer. It's because the politicians aren't doing enough about Muslims. It's because the politicians aren't doing enough about Mexicans, or whatever his idiotic, simplistic view of solving problems is. And all these rednecks are going, I kind of agree with him. This Obama, this guy's going to come, we're going to sort him out. I'm pretty sure that's what's happened.
You reckon that's
it's
what it
either
does?
that or the theory you wrote. You read something in the Washington Post, wasn't it?
Oh, well, yes. It was a plant by the Clinton campaign to
Yes.
make Hillary Clinton look better.
And that makes sense too, because Trump was he was a Democrat. And that actually makes sense as well. Something's going on here, and it's one or the other. Maybe it's a combination of the two, but it would be Donald Trump, it would be really, really funny, this situation, if he wasn't the front runner. And every time he says one of these outrageous things, these bigoted, nasty things, unenlightened, ignorant things, his poll numbers go up.
Well, this is the thing. It's just going up and up and up now. There's various organisations around the world. I think a Dubai firm has now taken his name from their golf complex. He's been given various honorary doctorates back as well. So all around the world, people are saying, look, we don't want anything to do with him.
But within the Republican Party, all the Republicans, the other Republicans, even the likes of Dick Cheney and hardliners like that, they're all saying that what Trump is saying is wrong. They don't know what to do now. It's completely wrecked the Republican Party. If Donald Trump isn't the nominee, they haven't got a chance. He's the only chance they've got now. Because if he just says, no, I've had my fun, I'm out of it, the party is in such a mess now because they've had to go against the leading candidate. They're unelectable. So that's the scary thing. Unless he stands, the Republicans can't get in.
Bob's Breakfast.
NHS hospital trusts have been accused of levying a tax on sick people. It's been revealed some are making more than £3 million a year from car parking charges. We've got a breakdown of the figures now on our website, bobfm.co.uk. Specifically picking out West Hertfordshire hospitals, Luton and Dunstable Hospital, and also Buckinghamshire Healthcare. Now, together, 1, 2, 3, 4, I would say they're making about £4.5 million from parking charges in total in the last year. That's a lot of money.
No one would mind if we knew where the money went.
No.
And they say it goes to care for patients, but that's a pretty broad description.
They say all or some of the money was reinvested into patient care.
All or some. Wait a second, as if there's not much difference between all and some. There's a massive difference between, might be hardly any.
Yeah. But you were saying earlier that you think maybe a breakdown.
I know. Well, I think if it was for something, I don't think anybody would mind paying this much for parking if it was actually for something, but something tangible. If they said, we need this many million to buy a CT scanner, which will save people having to drive to another area where they've got one, and so far from parking, we've raised this much, and have a bit of a totalizer, and it's something tangible. And when we get to this figure, we can get the CT scanner or the kidney machines or whatever it is they need. I say this because I've hosted many charity dues, and often you're just raising money. And it's just an amount of money. And, you know, they might have a target, but it's still just an amount of money. There was one I did years ago in Swindon, and it was for a school. The school looked after kids with disabilities and stuff, and it was to buy them a minibus. It was an expensive minibus because it had to be equipped with proper hoists and all the rest of it, and, you know, different wide opening doors and whatever. And because we had a tangible thing, the minibus, I could go out there and say, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we need to make, and I forget what it was. It might have been like 25 grand. We need to make £25,000 to get this minibus. If we don't get 20, we're not going to get the minibus.
Yeah.
And we had this photo of the minibus up on a big screen. Said, this is what we're doing it for. And we had stories about the kids and stuff just before the auction. That's the other trick. If you organise one of these events, get the real stories of the people you're raising the money for just before the auction. Because auctions, people have had a few drinks. They can get a bit chatty if they're not interested in bidding for the lots. If you tell them what this money's for, settles them down. Yeah. So there's another tip. Anyway. So we went through, and I can't remember, at the end of the night, they added up the auction and the silent auction and the raffle and the other things we'd done. We'd had entertainment on as well. We'd had acts on and stuff. I was the host of the thing. And we got to the end of the evening, and I think we were, I forget the figure, but for argument's sake, we were £1,000 short. That's how much we were short. We weren't going to get the minibus. So they said, oh, that's a shame. You know, you'll just have to tell everybody that we didn't make it. I said, no, let's see what we could do. And I went out there again, and I hosted the auction, and I went out there again, and I said, we're £1,000 short. It might have been 800 quid, whatever it was.
Yes. Yeah.
I said, we're this much short. Who'll give me 100 quid for nothing? I'm auctioning nothing now. Who'll give me 100 quid? Of course, they've all had a few drinks by now.
Yeah.
As the black tie do, there was a hand went up.
Wow.
I said, great. I said, who else will give me 100 quid? And, so, and I got it.
Fantastic.
And we got the minibus. But people were giving because there was something tangible. If I'd have gone out there and said, you know what, we haven't made our target, there's no way you'd get the extra money.
No.
It was because it was something tangible. So with these car parking charges, no one would mind paying. They would gladly pay if they knew where the money was going and there was a totalizer and it was saying it was for, I don't know, a CT machine or some kind of, medical equipment. It's expensive.
Absolutely.
If that's what they're just not selling it right. Collecting your Christmas tree stories this morning. I had some good ones. There's a 150-year-old fake Christmas tree that's been passed down through 5 generations of families. John and Christine have that one. Adam has a Christmas tree that's 58 years old. It's in their back garden. It's been growing there since the original owners of the house put it there, and they decorate it every year. Natalie's Christmas tree is called Nigel. He's brand new, costs 42 quid. He's a real Christmas tree. Julie and I, we've got a fake Christmas tree we get out every year, but there's one bauble on it, a heart-shaped bauble, which is from our first Christmas together as a married couple. And it's made it through multiple house moves. It started out in New Zealand, where we lived, where we met and where we lived. And then we moved to Australia for 6.5 years, and it lived there, and it's come to Britain with us. And there it is, still there, still going strong. So what's your Christmas tree story? Keith?
Back in my youth, I used to be based up on the old Berlin fence. I was on the RAF there, on a listening post. And we used to dress the trees up there.
What? Hang on. You were in West Berlin.
Yeah, I was up on the Berlin fence. We couldn't afford a wall in our day. We had a fence bit. Yeah, up on the Russian front there.
Yeah.
And we used to sort of dress. It's in the fir forest there. So we used to dress the actual fir trees up in the forest there. It's quite nice. We used to get the villagers come out from locally there, and a couple of times the kids would come out and bring us gifts, food and that for Christmas. But we used to dress the trees in the forest.
Isn't that fabulous? Isn't that just brilliant? And the people in the East could look at what freedom looks like.
Well, they could do. I always remember once, about 1970, I was on a radio station, and the radio broke into life, and it was this Russian squaddy over there, the other side of the fence, and he wished us Merry Christmas.
Brilliant. You didn't have a game of football or anything, but yeah, that's pretty close.
No, there's a big barbed wire fence. I think it's some mines between us and them.
Right, okay.
David Cameron's urged people to reflect on Britain's Christian values over the festive season. He was saying Christian values have been key to making the country a successful home to all people, regardless of faith.
Well, that goes against what's written in the Bible. I mean, in the Bible, they talk about death to followers of other religions. This is from Exodus. Whoever sacrifices to any god except the Lord alone shall be doomed. Talks about death to non-believers. This is Chronicles 15:12. It says, they entered into a covenant to seek the Lord of God of their fathers with all of their heart and soul. And everyone who would not seek the Lord, the God of Israel, was to be put to death, whether small or great, whether man or woman.
Oh, blimey.
No, well, the Bible talks about killing people who don't listen to priests, kill witches, kill homosexuals, kill fortune tellers, death for hitting dad, death for cursing parents, death for adultery, death for fornication, death to followers of other religions. It goes on and on and on and on.
Well, he didn't make reference to that.
He didn't make reference to any of those things from the Bible. And really, if you ask any Christian... And you and I know lots of nice Christians.
Absolutely.
You ask any Christian, would you believe in all that? Like death to homosexuals? Oh, no.
Of course they don't.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
We go, well, why not? And they go, well, because it's wrong. Okay, so you've got an internal moral compass. Why do you need this book? I'm Graham Mack, and I hope you're enjoying the podcast. If you are, make sure you share it on Facebook and Twitter, and you can subscribe at iTunes.
Bob's Breakfast.